Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United transfer news update show. In today's video, we're going to talk about Jaden Sancho. David Ornstein revealing Chelsea can't send back Jaden Sancho, what they can do. Mr. Freedom may not actually be free, and he may just look like a massive twat at the end of the season. We're going to talk about Amad Diallo, his injury, his boost. He could be back as early as next month, early April. He's seen walking without his protective boot. What is the truth in these reports that Amad Diallo could be on the return, and how massive would that be, especially if we're still in the Europa League, if we can beat Lyon and we can get to the semi-final and have someone like Amad Diallo back for the semi-final and final of Europa League. He'd be expected to be back for the final of the Europa League. If that was his expected sort of date, is mid-May. But people are saying it could be April now. We're going to talk about Bendito Mantato. Really good performance with the under-18s yesterday. Could he be the Quenda replacement? We didn't get Quenda because he wants to go to Chelsea and be a winger in Maresca's system. Although will Maresca be at Chelsea in a year and a half's time when Quenda goes to Chelsea? We can't really say that. We can't really know that. And Chelsea have signed a bunch of wingers. But I always did think with the Quenda situation, Bendito Mantato could be that guy at Manchester United. We won't have to spend 38 million on Quenda. We could save the budget for a striker, a left 10, another midfielder, another centre back. Because Fabrizio Romano has confirmed we will sign another centre back. That is in our plans. We're going to talk about transfer news. We've got links to Nico Williams again today. Not a player that I think we need. I don't think he suits Amarin's system. I think he's more of a Garnacho-esque player and a little bit overrated, but we have been linked to Nico Williams. We have been linked to centre-backs. We've been linked to, obviously, Fernandes, the wing-back in Portugal. And, obviously, Ratcliffe has spoken out about the Glazers, the mismanagement, Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold, why he'd never sort of employ them. And it's good to see Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe can't, as much as I'd like him to, Ratcliffe can't sit there and just slam the Glazers, because at the end of the day, he is working with them. He can't just sit there and be like, the Glazers are rubbish, the Glazers are trash, blah, 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 because he's working with them. But Ratcliffe is coming out and basically saying what the Glazers did here was rubbish, what the Glazers did there was rubbish. I can't believe the Glazers did this. I can't believe the Glazers did that, which was interesting to see in his interview. But listen, people, if you do enjoy today's live show, please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And we're going to get right into all the news in a second. But as Alex says, another youth lad breaking through like Mantato would be ideal and could save us funds. Absolutely agree as well. Someone said, do you think we get Delap? I think Delap is massively one to watch, same with Mateta. Ahmad's return would be massive. He was one of our only bright spots. The only thing I will say on Ahmad's return is don't rush it. I want an Ahmad return. I think it would be massive. I think it would be huge. But yeah, Alice, what's your 1 to 11 for 25-26 season? What do you mean 1 to 11? What do you mean 1 to 11? Like first place to 11th place for 25-26 season? You might have to explain what you mean by that. I do apologise about it. So it was under 21s last night, not under 18s. The Fletcher twins, yeah, assisting Tyler, assisting Jack Fletcher as well. Kone unplayable, as Sean says. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into all of the stories. People, please do go ahead and hit the like if you enjoy. Bear with me as I just need to update this quickly because my screen is quickly frozen here. So I'm just trying to sort this out. Okay, I'm with you. So, Jaden Sancho. So this is what David Ornstein had to say, but if we go back to last week it was reported there's still a possibility that Sancho could end up back at Manchester United this summer if Chelsea decide not to go through with the deal, although it would cost a significant penalty to break their agreement with United. So Chris Wheeler reported last week, look, there is a possibility Jaden Sancho could return to Manchester United. Even though he's out on loan at Chelsea, there is a possibility he can return to Manchester United. And then we're thinking, is this Chris Wheeler stirring the pot? Is he trying to get United fans riled up? We've got surely an obligation to buy unless Chelsea finish lower than 14th place. Surely Sancho is out the door for 25 to 30 million pounds. His wages are gone. He's Chelsea's problem. It's not our problem. Chelsea have already mugged us out off for Mason Mount. Chelsea have already mugged us off for Quenda. Surely Jaden Sancho will be Chelsea's problem next season. Well, David Ornstein said this. This is what he had to say. It was a conditional obligation to buy, so firstly those conditions must be met, and then, as has been reported elsewhere, Chelsea can decide against going through with the obligation by paying a fee. So technically he could return to Manchester United, but that was not the aim of any party when they embarked upon this deal. Let's see if that remains the case or changes, which would obviously be a big story. So basically, Chelsea could pay Manchester United 6 million quid so they don't end up with Sancho. So Chelsea will be paying 6 million quid to not end up with Sancho rather than paying 25 million quid to have Sancho, for example. I heard 6 million online, but I don't know how true that is as a fee. So if Chelsea really don't want Sancho, they can literally give United 6 million so they can save 19 million and not have to buy Jaden Sancho, not have to pay his wages. And then United are stuck with Sancho. 6 million was the figure that is rumoured online, but I don't know the truth of that. So don't quote me on 6 million. I'm just using that as an example. It could be 2 million, which would be really sad. It could be 10 million. Chelsea give us 10 million then at least, and then we could, worst case scenario, we could get money from Chelsea then sell them elsewhere. But it's a conditional obligation. And the condition was that Chelsea must finish 14th or above. Now, right now, we are in 14th place. So basically, Chelsea have to be where we are in the league to not buy Sancho and get out of buying Sancho. Chelsea will finish 14th. Or above as well. 1 to 11 lineup. Okay, I'll get into that in a second. I think so. Chelsea have to buy Sancho. The obligation is there. They're going to finish in the top 14. Boom, boom, boom. Now, they could look at it and say, because this is Chelsea. What are Chelsea good at? Chelsea are fantastic at finding loopholes. If Chelsea need to get out of this or need to get out of that, Chelsea are known for being fantastic at finding loopholes around PSR, the money they've spent. Like, nobody's spent anywhere near the amount of money Chelsea spent. When it comes to finding loopholes and getting around things, that is Chelsea's strength. That is what Chelsea are great at. So I've always said with the Sancho situation, Chelsea will find a loophole if they don't want him. They always do. And there is a loophole. There is a way that they can send Sancho back. Now, Chelsea brought Sancho on loan with an obligation to buy because they want Sancho. They see him parts of the future. Now, Sancho started well at Chelsea, but recently he's the Sancho we saw at Manchester United. He's not been particularly impressive, and we know he doesn't have the best attitude. So Chelsea are now in a position where they're thinking, is Sancho good enough? Is Sancho what we need? They're not sure, because Sancho's like the first Manchester United player to leave Manchester United and not get any better. Everybody else leaves us and looks so much better. Sancho's like the one that's not. So Chelsea are in a situation where they might say, we don't want Sancho. But for them to not want Sancho, they have to pay a fee to not sign a player. So they really have to not want Sancho. They have to pay Man United a fee to not sign their player. Which is obviously not what Chelsea planned for when doing the deal, but there's a possibility that it could happen and that Chelsea can find a way to send Sancho back, which is a little bit worrying as a Manchester United fan, because I don't want Sancho back, and it would make Sancho look like an absolute idiot because he's been going, freedom, I'm free. Alan Casey says 1 to 11 lineup for next season. It's impossible to know my 1 to 11 lineup next season. You're talking about Man United lineup. I'd probably say Nana will be in goal. Dorgu will be left wing back. Someone will come in at right wing back. Euro will be right centre back. De Ligt will be central centre back. Someone will come in at left centre back because Leach is injured. Heaven's great, but someone will come in at left centre back. Casemiro will go. I think Bruno will be in the pivot with maybe Agate, but I think someone will come in the pivot. I think Delap would probably be the striker, if I was going to be honest. I think Cunha will probably be the left 10. I think Amwood will be the right 10. I think Xerxes will be in and around as a 10 on and off the bench, if that's what you meant. Sancho just go to Saudi at this point. He isn't serious football anymore. I think he's one of those like Anthony, though. If you got him out of the Premier League, he'd be good, but he's not made for the Premier League. He doesn't have the physicality for the Premier League. He doesn't have the running power for the Premier League. He's a technical player, but he's not got the running power. I think Sancho is one of those that if we could sell him abroad, I think he would do all right. I think he would do all right in La Liga, but I just don't know if he's a Premier League player, to be honest. I don't want Sancho in our club. He said freedom. Do you know what's mad? And I'm going to quickly talk about this. Do you know what's mad about the Sancho situation? Is he actually suits Ruben Amorim ball. Like, this is the thing about Jaden Sancho. He actually suits Ruben Amorim ball. He suits the 10 Roman Amorim system. I don't want Sancho back because he's got a bad attitude. He's had enough chances. He's disrespected the club. He disrespected the previous manager. If things go wrong under Amorim, he will disrespect Amorim again. He's too big for his boots, if that's the word. He's not got the attitude. I do not want Sancho back at Manchester United, but he suits Amorim's system 10 times better than he suits Maresca's system. He suits Amorim's system a lot better than he suits Ten Hag's system. But Sancho's best bet is going to La Liga. I think Sancho would do best in La Liga. Knowing our luck, Alice, Chelsea will buy him for 25 million and then sell him for 40 million to someone in La Liga and get somehow. I don't know if anyone will pay 40 million for him, but that's what I wanted in the summer, originally 40 million. But we'd be going off what he did at Dortmund to try and get 40 million. He was suited abroad more, but he seems to care more about money than working hard, which is a problem. A problem with a lot of the players as well. His pressing is pretty crap, yeah. He wouldn't survive Amarin. Amarin's too strict. I think he would struggle under Amarin as well. As a Chelsea fan, I like Sancho, even though he ain't performing. If he would want to be a squad player and a lower wage, then okay, we're good with him. And that's fair. I think a lot of Chelsea fans wouldn't mind Sancho as a player for depth, but I think you just want to upgrade your starting wingers. But he's had problems everywhere he's gone. He even had problems at Dortmund with training and showing up late, and that's something that we need to look at. And I thought Adam made a good point here. He said, almost as if Jaden Sancho relied purely on talent, disrespected Manchester United the majority of the time, took no accountability, and has not learned any lesson himself. Those dribble comps that didn't actually lead to anything aren't holding up. And it's true. I think Jaden Sancho has sort of learned his lesson the hard way, I think. And it's a shame because I'll tell you this now. Jaden Sancho was probably the most excited I was about a Manchester United signing. Like, when we signed Jaden Sancho, I had not been that excited about Manchester United signing in a while. I was like, this is one of the best players. We've got him. And, at the time we had Greenwood, we had Rashford, we had Martial, we got Sancho in. And then later on we got Ronaldo in. I think Cavani was there and he was doing great. And I'm thinking Cavani, Greenwood, Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford, Martial. Because this was Rashford and Martial off the back of a great season. This was Greenwood before everything happened. This was Ronaldo coming in, Sancho coming in, Cavani. And I was like, oh my God, like, our attack is sick. We had that 5-1 win versus Leeds, which was unbelievable as well. Do you remember that? And I remember being so hyped, thinking Sancho's going to come and we're going to have a sick attack. And I think in terms of a signing, Sancho's been the worst signing for me. Because when we signed Anthony, I thought, why have we spent 85 million on him? If we had signed Anthony for 40 million, I said, fair enough. But when we signed Anthony, he wasn't the level of Sancho at Dortmund. And Anthony's been disappointing, but we'll get money for him. And he didn't complain and he didn't act like a twat. Sancho we signed, I think the hype and expectation around Sancho was a lot higher than Anthony, despite him being cheaper by only 10 million. And he was just so flat. And we were so patient. We gave him those 6 months off football to try and get back to his best mentally because he was dealing with some stuff. And I was so disappointed because I'd got behind Sancho, I'd backed him, I'd really defended him his first season at Manchester United. I said, look, he needs to adapt. I heard some things about some stuff that he was going through, and I was like, okay, I'm going to back this guy. It's obviously not an easy thing to go for as a footballer. So I was like, supportive of Sancho. I was like, we're going to get Dortmund Sancho. Maybe Rangnick's going to get Dortmund Sancho. And we saw signs under Rangnick. And then he just disrespected the club. It was 4 games into the season, he just disrespected Ten Hag. The transfer window had just shut, and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to play. Like, you were going to get your chance because Anthony wasn't doing enough. Look at Ahmad, how he waited and got his chance. Look at Ahmad. Everything that Jaden Sancho was meant to be we've got an Amad Diallo now. Everything we thought Jaden Sancho was going to be was Ahmad. Ahmad was the one that was also disrespected by Ten Hag. Ahmad was the one that was desperate to play, and he kept going with Anthony, even Forson, who can't even play for Monza, over Ahmad. But did Ahmad force a move out? Did Ahmad refuse to train? No, because Ahmad worked hard. Ahmad was done dirtier by Ten Hag than Jaden Sancho was. Ahmad worked super hard, and when he got his chance, he took it. And even though when he took his chance, he would go back on the bench for Anthony, he would put in stinkers. Every time Ahmad got his chance, he took it. Ahmad knew what it meant to play for Manchester United and this badge, and he did not take it for granted. Sancho got dropped for 3 games, had a stroke, refused to play. Ahmad got dropped for multiple games, worked his arse off. Ahmad and Sancho were very similar, but Ahmad had the attitude. He had the work rate. He had the desire to fight for that United squad, despite Forson being played over him, despite bad treatment by Ten Hag. And if Sancho had Ahmad's attitude, maybe there'd have been a different player there. But I think Ahmad was what we thought Sancho would be. And I was so disappointed with the Sancho signing because I really got behind that guy. But yeah, if Sancho returns, there's a chance he could be good fit in the attack. Yes, I think Sancho suits this system better than the Chelsea system and Ten Hag system, but I think Sancho needs to go to La Liga. I don't think he's got the physicality for the Premier League. Sancho tied the record for most Bundesliga goals by Englishmen before United. Sancho's toxic. Chelsea willing to pay fines to get rid of him? Potentially, yes. I think Chelsea, if Sancho becomes good between now and the end of the season, Chelsea will keep him. But if Sancho keeps stinking up, they're going to send him back. Respect Ahmad. Many other players would have pushed to go. He dealt with what he dealt with exactly. I think Ahmad was one of the worst mistreated players at Manchester United. Sancho was a waste of time and money. He hindered Ahmad and Pulisic development. We should have never signed him. I don't think Pulisic was ever going to be good enough, but 72 million on a player that is still technically a Manchester United player, but is tweeting things like freedom. Like, you're still a Man United player, mate. Why are you going, oh, freedom, freedom, freedom? You're still at Manchester United, Sancho. You're still at Manchester United. Freedom fighter with bad attitude. But let's talk about Amad Diallo. Let's talk about Amad Diallo's return from injury. Amad Diallo is expected to be back in training at the beginning of the next month, if everything goes to plan with his rehab. Now, this is said by United Forever 7, who I do not think are a reliable source of information in the slightest, so I'm good to make that clear. But there has been a lot of rumours and speculation that Amad could be back before the end of the season, could be back earlier than thought. The expectation was he'd be back mid-May, but who knows if it was worth risking him the last 2 games of the Premier League season. That was the feeling, that Ahmad would be back for maybe the last 2 games of the Premier League season, but is it worth risking him when there was nothing to play for? I think if it was a Europa League final, we'd risk him in that kind of game. Now, reports are saying that Ahmad could be back in April, a month earlier than expected. Now, why is this going about, and why is this sort of talk of Ahmad returning early? So, Ahmad was actually been seen a few times at Manchester United watching the matches despite being injured, and a lot of the times he's been seen in crutches and protective boots, but Ahmad was actually seen walking pretty fine without a protective boot and anything the other day. He was seen walking a lot better, moving a lot better, which I think has sparked a lot of people to think, oh, this is good. This is a good sign. This is good progress. So a lot of people have been saying that Ahmad, and a lot of rumours behind the scenes have been coming out saying that Ahmad is actually quite ahead in terms of his recovery, quite ahead in terms of his potential return to Manchester United, and could be back sooner. Now, I don't think he's going to be back at the beginning of next month, because that would put him back 5-6 weeks before he was expected to come back. So I don't expect Ahmad to be coming back April 7th. I don't expect that to be happening. But a lot of talk is saying he could be back end of April. Wouldn't be ready to start, so maybe May, but we could have Ahmad for a semi-final in the Europa League. We could have Ahmad for the last 4 or 5 games of the Premier League. I think the expectation, and they said why Ahmad's season could be over, was he might only be back for the last 2 games of the Premier League season, and they might not risk it if we're out the Europa League. But there is a feeling that Ahmad could be back a bit sooner, and could be ready to start games in early May and start those last 2 games and potentially a semi-final, which would be great to see, because we need to win that Europa League. We've knocked Real Sociedad out. Lyon will be a difficult game, but I don't think Lyon are having the best season in Ligue 1. Let me actually check that. I know they've got a lot of financial issues, Lyon. They are currently 6th in Ligue 1, so they're doing a lot better. I know they had a bit of a poor period, but they've actually won 4 of their last 5 games. And there was a point where people thought they might get relegated. But we should be able to beat Lyon for sure. But they do have good players. I really do like some of the players that Lyon have, and they beat FSSB 4-0, and 7-1 in aggregate, which is a team that we beat. But they have players like Cherky, who will be a good player. Even they've got players like Tolisso, Maitland-Niles. Do you remember him? But we definitely have a better squad than Lyon in the Europa League. But it'd be so key, the Europa League, and trying to go through. Ahmad would give us options if he returns early, 100%, 100%. Ahmad and Xerxes in the 10s. I could get behind. I like Garnacho and I like his energy, but I feel like Ahmad and Xerxes in the 10s, it complements each other quite well. I've noticed that Xerxes is so much better in the 10 than the striker role, because I think Xerxes not got that striker finishing and instinct. Xerxes likes to be involved in the build-up, but I think that's something that the 10s can do. We focus on beating Lyon different way to we beat Real Sociedad. Yeah, the focus of Man United is on beating Lyon, but I think Ahmad returning early would be a boost, but we can't rush him back as well. I want to play Spurs in the Europa League final, but I also don't want to play Spurs in the Europa League final because they've already beaten us 3 times this season. But then I think, surely if it's a cup final, we are definitely favourites to beat Spurs, because Spurs aren't good in cup finals. Right, let's continue into the next story, though. Bendito Mantato. So, Bendito Mantato, people haven't spoken about in the last couple of months because he's been injured. People were like, Alice, I'm Mantato. Why isn't he playing? He's been injured. He's come back from injury now. Bendito Mantato and Shea Lacey's now injured again. They are ballers, but they've had some injuries this season. He played 45 minutes versus West Brom with the under-21s. Assist, goal, assist. Bendito Mantato has played right wing. He's played left wing. He's played right back. He's played left back. He is a Quenda. He's more of a winger than a fullback, but he's got the Bukayo Saka in him, left back to right wing. He's got the Bukayo Saka in him. He's got the Quenda in him. He is more of a winger, but he could play wing back. Amad Diallo played right wing back. I think, now we need to give him more time because he's only just come back from injury. But if I had to put a bet on who would be the next academy star that Ruben Amorim could start to give minutes to, would be Bendito Mantato. Chido's up there, great. He's going to get minutes here and there. You know, Aiden Heaven, I'm not going to count him. He's already playing. But I look at the academy and think, well, Jack Fletcher's on the bench, cool. James Scannon's on the bench. Morehouse gets on the bench, cool. But I think if there was one that I think embodies Amorim's system, and now that we've missed out on Quenda, which might be a big boost for him, it'd be Bendito Mantato if he could stay fit. I do think he is an Amorim player. I do think he's a fit for Amorim's system. And I do think he is a really exciting name. I think he could be that right wing back. Now, obviously, we have this thing where we overhype every youth talent and a lot of them don't make it and we get really excited and think that the youth's going to save us. But if we're just talking about profiling, it's the fit. Even Alex said it here. Mantato seemed a somewhat similar profile to Quenda. Rather try and see what we have there. Exactly. For me, it's profiling. You know, not every player is going to make it in the academy. And not every player is going to be as good as we think they are. And not every academy player is going to come in and save us. But when you look at the academy and you look at the profiling, I look at that and think, well, profile-wise, this is what we want, right? Profile-wise, this is a Quenda. This, you know, Mantato, I think, profile-wise is perfect. Big up, guys. We've got 100 likes. If you are enjoying today's live stream, please do continue to hit that like button and feel free to subscribe down below if you're new. Lately, I've been doing live streams a lot around 11:30, 12:30, more lunchtime, and then videos in the evening. But I will get back into doing evening videos because normally I would do morning videos, which was 10-minute news roundup, and live streams in the evening. But I will get back into doing the 5:30, 6 o'clock live streams. But I just feel like with the news being a bit more interesting in the morning than the evenings right now, I just prefer doing live streams in the morning. But I try and do one live stream every day and then 10-minute video every day. So yeah, but I am going to get back into doing my 5:30 live streams at some point. Fabrizio Romano said this in regards to transfers, because I now want to get into transfer news. We've been linked to Nico Williams. I want to get into what Ratcliffe's had to say. I want to get into a few stories because quite a lot to get into and I think some interesting news. So I'm going to start with this transfer story and then I'm going to get into some more news. Alice, do you think we could potentially sign a goalkeeper in Stiller? I don't think we will, but I think there's potential. I'd like us to sign Stiller. I'd like us to sign a keeper. I think Stiller will go to Bayern Munich. I think keeper isn't quite on the priority list. So what does Fabrizio Romano have to say on Manchester United signing a centre-back? In recent days, Manchester United have started to seriously consider and discuss bringing in one more centre-back this summer. United directors have started making calls to inquire about players available. The internal view at the club is that, with an important season ahead, many games to play, one more centre-back can be important to help with the rotation if they can find the right player to sign in terms of investment, experience and quality. So Fabrizio Romano has pretty much confirmed Manchester United will look to sign a centre-back. Man United's plan is to sign a centre-back in the summer. Man United, I can tell you this now, unless things go horribly wrong, Manchester United will sign a striker. Manchester United will sign a centre-back. Manchester United will sign a player that can play in the pivot, and Manchester United will sign another number 10. Unless things go incredibly wrong, we can't get Anthony out, we can't get Rashford out, we've got no funds, we will sign those 4 positions. Fabrizio Romano confirmed we were looking to sign a centre-back, a 10, a striker, and another player to go in the pivot. Casemiro needs to go for us to get a pivot player in. It could be more difficult. We will sign a centre-back, we will sign a striker, we probably will sign number 10. Garnacho could go. Diallo, rumoured of going. Casemiro expected to go. Rashford expected to go. Lindelof and Eriksen will go. Anthony expected to go. You know, this could be some surprise sales in there. Højlund could go and Mount could go. It's going to be difficult to offload them financially. But United, as Romano said, are discussing bringing in a centre-back. Romano has said United want a centre-back because we're losing Lindelof, we're losing Evans. Leach is not going to be back till December time. He's had injury issues. We're playing a back three. We need that other centre-back for depth. And that's understood at United how important it is. It's great as Aiden Heaven's been. We're going to need that another centre-back for depth. Now, I look at Manchester United and I think I'd be doing everything we could to get Slotterbeck. Like, tell me your dream centre-back signing in the chat. Tell me, like, if you could sign any centre-back, tell me your dream centre-back signing in the chat. But I think United should do everything they can to go for Slotterbeck, who probably won't come to us. Because I think we need a natural wide defender. Slotterbeck, when it comes to defending wide space, is brilliant. He could potentially play full-back in a back four, not a back five. Brilliant. Good on the ball, yes. Good off the ball, yes. Good on his duels, yes. I think Schlotterbeck is the best all-round centre-back out there for the left centre-back role. And I would go all out to sign Nico Schlotterbeck. Would we be able to get him? No, I think Liverpool are in for him. I think better clubs than us are in for him. And that's the problem we're going to have. Tel's gone to Tottenham. Quenda's gone to Chelsea. We're not going to have the pull. If we win the Europa League and win the Champions League, we're definitely going to have some kind of pull. But, yeah, I look at it and I think Schlotterbeck. That is, for me, the dream. Huijsen, great. I'm not going to say no to that. Schlotterbeck would be perfect. And United are making calls to inquire about centre-backs. United have decided they will sign a centre-back, and Romano's confirmed that is very much in the plan. Someone said Ethan Pinnock or Harwood Bellis, you're 14th, that's your level. Appreciate that, Jim. Heaven looking super impressive for his age. Had no idea who he was before we signed him. I mean, I remember him because we played him in pre-season, but yeah, other than that. Hincapie's a good shout. I think defending the wide channels. Diamande under Amarin, yeah. Bastoni wouldn't come. Bastoni I'd love, but he wouldn't come. Inacio would probably be quite a good Leacher replacement, but there's a lot of similarities there. Hincapie, yeah, there's a lot of good options out there as well. Huijsen, I like Branthwaite, but he's definitely a little bit overrated. I think, like, as much as I like Branthwaite, I think we can all, like, sit there and admit, yeah, he's a bit overrated. Like, he just is a bit overrated. And I think Everton will try and price us out any kind of move for Branthwaite. Which would be the same. Alice, do you think Sancho would want to come back? Well, if Chelsea sends Sancho back, I don't think he's really got a choice. That's the problem. Sancho's saying freedom, and Sancho doesn't want to come back. But if Chelsea send him back, he's not got a choice. So that's sort of the situation there. Boskagli, left centre back from PSV. Could be one to watch. Schlotterbeck used to have a mistake in him, but seemed to improve. Look, I don't watch Dortmund week in, week out. I don't watch a lot of Dortmund other than the Champions League. I'm not going to lie. So I've not watched every game of him, but in the Champions League, he's sick. Like, he's absolutely sick in the Champions League. So, yeah. Freedom. Everyone's saying freedom. I would say, yeah, Hincapie's a good shout. Colwill from Chelsea. I'm not against that, but a lot of people would be. I'm not against that. There's definitely some good shouts there. Roger Fernandez or Mantato. I think Mantato could be that guy, but I guess we need someone that's a bit more ready now, so you'd probably go with Fernandez as well. Sign a Southampton defender. Who would you sign out of the relegation teams? So the relegated teams will be Southampton, Leicester, and probably Ipswich. From Southampton, I'd get Dibbling when they get relegated. Harwood Bellis is decent, probably not. I think the only player from Southampton I would really look at and get is Dibbling. I think Fernandez in Southampton again is a decent player. I actually think this. A lot of the relegated teams don't have bad players, but Dibbling would be from Southampton. I think Leicester have a worse squad than Southampton. Hear me out. Leicester have more Premier League experience, which is probably why they're above Southampton. But I actually think on paper Leicester have a worse squad than Southampton. I don't think there's really anyone I'd sign from Leicester. Who was I forgot his name, the quick guy. I forgot his name. He was really quick. And when we played Leicester, he actually was quite difficult to play against. But there was this one guy from Leicester that I think was quite good. El Canouse. Was it El Canouse? No, it wasn't El Canouse. What was he called? Oh, yeah. Bobby Corva Reed, I think, is one of their better players. But I wouldn't sign anyone from Leicester. And then in terms of Ipswich, would I sign anyone from Ipswich? Delap. Leif Davies could do all right, but probably Delap if I had to sign someone from Ipswich. I actually think Ipswich has spent a fair bit of money, and I do think they've got some decent players. Even Hutchinson's a decent player, but probably Delap. Delap and Dibbling are probably the only relegated players I'd look at signing for Manchester United. If Wolves get relegated, I'm all over Cunha, but I mean, Wolves got some really good midfielders as well. Someone said I blame Saeed for Sancho. Why would you blame Saeed for Sancho? Like, the only person you should blame for Sancho is Sancho not performing and not stepping up. Like, we all hyped Sancho up. We all thought Sancho was going to be great because Sancho was great at Dortmund. We were all excited. We signed Sancho, technical baller, and Sancho just acted like a bit of a knob. So I wouldn't blame anyone but Sancho. Schlotterbeck, Sulemana, he did cook Lenny Euro. And Didi, a bit past it now. Sulemana, Fatwa. Yeah, Ramsdale, no. Like, I prefer Onana to Ramsdale. Hutchinson's a baller. But yeah, that's a bit off topic. let's dive into the next story. He said, because I'm having a laugh. Fair enough. Nico Williams and the outgoings. There's just a lot of stories about Man United and outgoings, to be honest. So let's dive into these. Manchester United are the latest club to try transfer move for Nico Williams this summer, apparently. Which, again, I don't think we are. I think he'll go to Arsenal if he goes to I think he goes to Arsenal or Barcelona. I don't think he goes to Man United because, I'll be honest, Nico Williams has gone actually a better PR because he's in La Liga. I will tell you this for a fact. Nico Williams is Alejandro Garnacho with better PR because he's in La Liga. Garnacho has more goal contributions than Nico Williams this season, just for context as well. I've watched Nico Williams against Ollie's team in Europa League. It was crap. Nico Williams has one less goal contribution than Garnacho this season. Nico Williams is a good dribbler. He's great on the ball. He can play left wing, he can play right wing. He's versatile. But he's young, he's raw. He has some really good games where he looks exciting when he has some stinkers. And I think he's not that different to Garnacho, if I was going to be 100% honest. I think we need someone that's more of a natural 10 than a touchline winger. And Nico Williams is more of a touchline winger. People say Williams is a better player. Williams is definitely a better player than Garnacho, but I'm saying that Williams hasn't had. It's been like Garnacho this season. You know, he's living off a little bit of that Euros hype. If I was going to be honest, and you look at Anthony in La Liga as well, I think Nico Williams is overrated. I really wanted Nico Williams last season because I watched him in the Euros. I watched him for Bilbao last season. I thought this is a talent. I've watched him this season. I haven't been as impressed. I've seen what Anthony's done in La Liga, and I think maybe he's a tad overrated. I think he's a tad overrated, to be honest. Now, this is what's been said on Nico Williams. Manchester United are the latest club ready to try transfer move for Nico Williams this summer. United will likely sell Rashford and Anthony this summer, and there's even question marks around Garnacho. Now, the second part of this is correct. We will sell Rashford, we will sell Anthony. If, they continue to do well on loan, we definitely will. But there are question marks around Garnacho. So there could be 3 exits going. Now, I know that rather than a Nico Williams, we're looking for more of an inside player. So the way I would describe it is, you look at Elise. He's a player that likes to play in the pockets, the inside. You look at a Cole Palmer, Kulusevski, they can play right wing, but they like to play in the pockets. They like to play on the inside. And Anthony, he likes to hold the width. Garnacho, he likes to hold the width. Quenda will like to hold the width. And Nico Williams will like to hold the width. Amrin wants more. He has his wing backs to hold the width. That's what Amrin wants. So with his number 10s, he wants one of those wingers that's quite comfortable in the pocket. So a Kulusevski, a Cunha, rather than someone that likes to hold the width. He likes someone that's more comfortable in the pockets. He likes someone that's a mixture between a 10 and a winger. So you know how Cole Palmer can play right wing and 10? He wants that kind of player. Now, there is players like Kvaratskhelia that could definitely do that role and have the adaptability to do that. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I would look at Rodrigo of Real Madrid if we could get him. I think he'd be perfect because, he has to play on the right and he's better on the left. And if we could get Rodrigo as Real Madrid as our left 10, I'd be absolutely loving that. But there's no way he's ever going to come to Manchester United. But we're looking for people that are going to sort of play more central, and Nico Williams doesn't tick that profiling. And one thing I'd say Ineos have done quite well when it comes to recruitment and bringing people in is profiling, understanding the profiles, understanding the type of player we need to bring in the position they play. And I look at those players and I think, well, they don't suit the profiles that United need. And I think Ineos will look at profiles. Wingbacks or just hybrid forwards. Wingbacks are more wingers, but like the Bukayo Saka kind of wingers where they're a bit more defensive. So he wants the wingbacks to hold the width, which is why I thought Garnacho might be a wingback, and he wants the 10s to come inside more, which is why it suits Ahmad so well. But Ahmad can also play wingback because he's class. That's what he wants. And he's doing fantastic in the league. It suits him. He scored a really good goal in the Conference League, actually, didn't he? He made a really good run. If Anthony can keep smashing it, if Rashford can keep smashing it, we can get money for them. We'll do all right. We cannot sell Garnacho. It's madness. Williams was parked by a Norwegian back playing for Besiktas over the top in 32. Yeah, Williams was poor against Besiktas. That's the game I watched. The last game I watched Williams play was Besiktas. So, I can't judge him off that one game, but he was poor. He was absolutely poor. But I don't think we'll go for Nico Williams. I think Arsenal will go for Nico Williams. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Nico Williams is a good player. I'm not denying that. I think he could be a great talent. I really wanted him last summer when I watched him in the Euros. But I think he's got a little bit overhyped because of the Euros. Jim Ratcliffe's done an interview with the Times Sport. And Jim Ratcliffe made some really interesting comments. He says, "We still do not have data analysis at United. All we've got is Jason Wilcox's eyes. And Jason, for me, is the guy at the coalface. He ran the academy at City, blah, blah, blah. Jason knows what he's working with and what's not working in terms of how Ruben's playing his system." Ratcliffe's offered some insight into sort of how United are going about things. And I feel like I don't want to drag this live stream on because I want to make this live stream more about the news, more about Ahmad, more about Sancho. But there is some really interesting stories coming out from Jim Ratcliffe on Manchester United. And I think this interview with the Times that Ratcliffe's done is a lot better than the one he did with Gary Neville in terms of the insight and the information we've got. But I think it's probably better that I cover this in a separate video. So I'll probably do a live stream or video tonight to go through the quotes of what Ratcliffe has said. So if you are new, subscribe for that, because I reckon if I do a live show, it will either be 6 till 7 or it will be 9 till 10, because I might be going out for dinner around 7. So do subscribe for that. There might be a video, but I think there's some interesting quotes I want to get into, but I don't want to make this live stream too long, because I know for me, a lot of people say that they like that I do 10-minute videos because it gets things right to the point. And then they say they like that I do live streams that are 30 to 40 minutes because then they can watch it on catch up if they can't watch it live. But also, if you want to watch it live, you can interact. So I like to try and keep my live streams to 30 to 40 minutes, just because I feel like it's easier for people to watch on catch up and you can get through all the points, but as well as interacting with you guys. But look, I'm going to wrap up here. I'm just going to get through a few more comments. Heaven's instincts, composure, and maturity, very promising. Completely agree. Many love Cirque now. Not long ago, they slaughtered him and booed him off the pitch. Too many cannot see talent. 100%. And if you've been following me, you know I've been sticking up for Xerxes this whole time because I watched him at Bologna and I wanted us to sign him. Coffee says, I love your videos. Appreciate that. I don't think I could do a 5-hour stream. I struggle to stay awake. I'm always sleepy. Anthony doing well. Good news. Yeah, we can hopefully get a fee. Would you take Anthony now? No, because I think he's just not a Premier League player. Sancho doesn't suit the system. Alice, stop telling people that he isn't physical enough. He suits Amarin's system, but he's not physical enough for the Premier League. That's what I mean as well. Why are United fans so reactionary is pathetic. I think the Xerxes booing him after 3 months when he was being played in the wrong position and he was just as a young player was crazy. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.